Knicks Home Court with your host. My name is Greg Armstrong. This is Knicks Home Court number 22. In this episode, I'm going to do some analyzing of the Knicks' victory and loss in their back-to-back games of Detroit and the Washington Wizards. Okay, let's start with the Detroit Pistons game, obviously. So, this is simple. Let's just talk about Kristaps Porzingis and what he did. 35 points. He was on fire. In the first half, he had over 26, 27 points. He was just on fire, right? The Knicks had to hold on to win this game because, again, they play defense. They play defense in spurts. But again, this is the kind of team they're going to be. If they can play, they're going to be the kind of team. The Knicks will be the kind of team that if they can play consistent, good offense and defense in spurts, that's how they're going to win their games. They're never going. They can talk defense all they want. They're never going to be a defensive first team. That's not happening with this unit. It's not happening. However, if they're playing consistent, smart, efficient offensive basketball and they play defense in spurts, they can still win a lot of games because they have really elite offensive weapons. And when their offense is clicking, they can go on a 10-0 run like nothing. But I must say that the Knicks need to investigate this small ball lineup a little more, which is something I'm going to get into a little bit more in depth in the coming weeks and definitely in this podcast. But we're analyzing the game against Detroit. I think they did a good job covering the Morris twin and not letting him go off. I think they paid special attention to him. I think that Noah did an excellent job. Noah did an excellent job on Drummond. Y'all keep saying that Noah is very important to this team. Noah is very important to this team. And when he plays with effort and spirit like that, he played very well. So, I don't think, look, sometimes when you sign people, he got 4 years, $72 million. First of all, it's not my money, so I don't give a damn. That's what it took to sign him. That's what they had to give to sign him, to get themselves a quality center, someone that Kristaps can learn from. So you got to understand, it's not just about his play on the field. On the court. It's not just about his play on the court. It's about a lot of other intangibles he brings to the game. His defense on the pick and rolls. He can teach Kristaps that. His leadership. There's a lot of things that veterans bring to your team, and you want to, trust me, by the end of his contract, yes, he'll probably be a cheerleader. The last 2 years, that could be possible. But let's not act like this is our money. And it's not like, I always ask people when I would say, who would you sign? And they'll probably give you a couple of marginal players. I'm sorry. I'm not signing marginal players. You're not winning with marginal players. That's why I don't waste my time on this podcast talking about marginal players. Barely NBA players. I like chasing Randall, but I'm not talking about chasing Randall and the Ron Bakers. I don't talk about them because they don't really move the needle. Unless they do something big, I'm not talking about them. No. In this league, you win with stars and established, very good players in this league. That's what you win with. Those role players, those little small guys. If you're, put like this, if you're talking a lot about the small guys, only bad teams do that. Only teams that are not that good spend time talking about the 12th man. Come on. That's why even when Marshall Plumlee people was talking about him. I'm like, I'm not talking about him. If he's getting playing time, we're in trouble. But anyway, back to the Detroit game. I thought Kristaps was fantastic. I thought he was aggressive. I think the Knicks are aggressively looking for him, which is a good thing. You know, he just was spectacular. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching his swag. You know, I enjoyed him. You know, I enjoyed the whole thing. We're watching a star, folks. We're seeing a player turn into a star. I will not say superstar yet, but we're seeing a player go from good to becoming a star. A person really understanding that he's better than a lot of players in this league now. Once Kristaps Porzingis learns that he could just simply shoot over most guys in the league, he can stop the fadeaway. He don't have to do so many fadeaways and things like that. He doesn't have to put the ball down on the ground to make himself short. He doesn't have to bring the ball down. He has to learn how to keep the ball above his head, because that leads to a lot of fouls and easy jump shots for him. You know, he's lethal in the post-up area as far as his jump shot. So, but he needs to get stronger. You know, I think that Carmelo had a good game. I like how Carmelo, say what you want about Carmelo, he defers to Kristaps a lot. He will pass Kristaps that ball and let Kristaps do it. There was a few times Kristaps was hot, and he was like, nah, I got to get him the ball. And I seen Melo do it. Melo's not a selfish player. Of course, he has to get used to playing with players who can actually play after playing with the bums he used to play with. And don't give me no shit about J.R. Smith doing good in Cleveland. Shumpert still is a scrub. And J.R. is like the fourth man on that team. J.R. wasn't equipped to be the second best guy on a team. He's not. If he has to be the second best player on most nights for Cleveland, they're doing bad. On most nights. Because some nights, yes, he'll have a hot game. You know. Another thing, too, Kristaps has one great game, and people start asking the question: is he better than Melo? Is this his team? I just want to say, because I was going to go over this podcast. I was going to say this on a Sunday podcast or a longer podcast. They need to stop that. One game don't make you great. One game don't make you great. I remember when Anthony Davis, they called him top 3 player in the league. Let me tell you something. I remember they asked Dr. J about great players, and he said, listen, you got to do it at least 5 to 7 years before I can consider you a great player. Unless, like, 4 years straight, you're just dominating the league. And he means wins, too. So you can't just... Carmelo has over, 24,000 points? Kristaps, listen, he may end up being the man on this team, but wait for it, folks. It's not there yet. It's not happening yet. Carmelo is the man on this team. He's the man on this team. He had a few good games. Kristaps will have arrived when he scored, when he has back games. That's when he's gonna really start feeling himself. That's when he's really gonna be like, yo, I'm here. But it's still gonna be Melo's team, because he's been doing it for 13 years. Get your mind right, people. Then I hear people talking about trading Melo, right? And I'm like, I always go through this with people. I have argued on Twitter. I have argued on Facebook. I've argued in person with my friends. Trade Melo. And I always ask them this one question. Trade him for who? And when people talk about trade Melo, I'm like, okay, first of all, he has a no trade clause, so please stop wasting your breath. He's only going to go to a big city if he decides that. He's not going to Cleveland. Cleveland can't fit him, and Cleveland has nothing the Knicks want. I'm only going to do this one time. I'm not going to entertain this anymore after this, but I'm just going to say, let's just run through a list of teams that he may want to go to. Let's see what they can give the Knicks back in return. The Clippers, he's not going to the Clippers. He would go. He might sign off of it. His homies did. Chris Paul, but what we getting back from the Clippers? They're not giving us Blake Griffin, a healthy Blake Griffin. What we going to get? JJ Redick and Jamal Crawford and a future pick? It's not happening. It's just not happening. I don't even think he fits because you would have to give us somebody totaling up to his contract or within range. So that's not happening. He's not going to Cleveland. Trust me. No matter how much he loves LeBron, he's not going to Cleveland. In Cleveland, what are they going to give us? Kevin Love? That doesn't fit with the Knicks. Why would you do that? That would hurt the Knicks defensively. So that's not happening. What, he's going to go to Toronto? What, are you going to go to the Lakers? He's not going to the Lakers. So I'm mentioning big cities because he likes big cities. He's not going to Chicago. Especially now. Chicago has come to him. So I'm just running through a list of teams because he has a no trade clause. So you got to figure the teams he may want to go to. Now, one interesting team is the Boston Celtics, who definitely have things that the Knicks would want. If the Knicks season goes south, Boston Celtics is interesting. If he would sign off on it, they have Brooklyn Nets first round draft pick. I think is unprotected. So if Boston Celtics put together a package of like Brooklyn's pick, Jay Crowder, one of those guards, not Avery Bradley. They're not going to give up Avery Bradley or Isaiah Thomas. But maybe a Marcus Smart or what's the other guy that I keep forgetting? The young guy they have that comes off the bench. It's not a lot, but that first pick is going to be top 10. It's going to be top 10, possibly top 5, possibly number 1. That, I can probably understand that to a certain degree, but he has to sign off on Boston, which I don't think he'll do. And I think he'll fit perfectly with the Celtics. I think that would make them a championship contender. Yes. Al Horford, Carmelo Anthony, Isaiah Thomas, and those defensive dogs they have, that would make them a championship contender. Yes, it would. But I don't think he would sign off on it. And the Knicks, like I said, we need a couple of those number 1 picks that they have. But I can't see the Knicks really doing it. They'll have to be bowled over. I don't see them helping the Knicks. I don't see them helping the Celtics get to a championship. I don't think they'll do that. So I'm not going to run through other teams because there's no other teams. So when you say trade Melo, or I think you're operating off of emotion. You're not operating off of common sense. So, just stop saying it. It's not going to happen. We have Melo. Melo's a great player. And I can't wait till Melo gets in position and you get to see how great he is. Yes, he's 32. Still a great player. So I had to go on that little bit of rant about Carmelo Anthony. I want to get into the Washington Wizards game because basically the Detroit Pistons game was really about Kristaps. I wouldn't say it's his coming out party. I've seen him do this before. He just scored more points this time. It's not his coming out party. He's good. He's here. You know what I'm saying? He's good. If you look at his player efficiency rating, it has jumped. Like last year, I think he was at like. Matter of fact, let me look it up. Okay, last year, Kristaps, his player efficiency rating was 17. By the way, league average is 15. So his player efficiency rating was 17.7. This year is 22, which is a significant jump, considering that Carmelo Anthony's player efficiency rating is usually around 23 to 24. To let you know how good Kristaps is playing right now, a player like Steph Curry's player efficiency rating's around 30. Same thing with LeBron James. And Russell Westbrook's player efficiency ratings around 30. So just to give you an indication of where the stars lie, I usually like to use that. There's other things you could look at, but sometimes just for a quick overview of how he's doing, I look at that player efficiency rating. For example, if you look up Shumpert's player efficiency ratings below 10, basically he's not an NBA player according to the player efficiency rating. He's not NBA average according to player efficiency ratings. And you'll see that with a lot of below average players, their player efficiency rating will be low. Somebody like Marcus Thornton or somebody like that, you'll see that their player efficiency is low. It doesn't mean they don't have value. It just means that they're just a marginal player, and that's it. You know, right now, Derrick Rose player efficiency rating is league average. He's like 15 or 16. You know, and he's played like a league average guard. But there's more to that story. So anyway, let me get into this Washington Wizards game. You know, I was moved to do a podcast right after the Detroit game. And I said, you know what, let me hold off because you know what? They might win against Washington. It's a game they should win. It'll be 2 in a row. And I'm going to be excited to do my podcast. And I'm going to do the podcast, Knicks Home Court. And I'm going to be like, yo, the Knicks is coming. Yo, they doing it. They finally at 500. They in the playoff race. Let's keep it going. You know. And I should have went with my first thought. Because being that Kristaps had a big night. But it's just that I wasn't set up to do the podcast. I was going to do a remote podcast. Meaning, sometimes I'll do a podcast when I'm going or traveling somewhere. I'll just, you know, say my notes or whatever, do it real quick, and then I'll put it out there. So I decided to wait another day. You know, they should beat Washington. Washington's 2-8. They just lost to the 76ers. I was so wrong. That's why I had to give myself a day before I came up with this podcast right now, because the Knicks' performance against Washington Wizards was completely unacceptable and unprofessional with a team with veterans on it. A team with Carmelo Anthony, Courtney Lee, Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, Kristaps Porzingis, Brandon Jennings. With these veterans, of course, except for Kristaps, veteran players not putting forth the effort. I don't want to hear you tired. No. You see, the difference between good teams and bad teams is good teams show up consistently. That's the only real, talent, obviously. But the difference between a good team and a bad team is usually they put that talent together consistently. It's a consistent effort. They play hard every night. Yeah, of course. See, a good team, this is what a good team does. They have a string of really good games. Even if they lose some of them, they'll have a string of good games, and then they might lay an egg. They don't have 1 victory, bad game. 2 victories, bad game. That's a bad team, folks. That's a marginal team. That's a team that is not good. And right now, the Knicks are still trying to become a good team. I think they will get there because they have the talent. So this is why I say about the Knicks, when I tell people if they wonder why I'm picking them to win 45 to 50 games, because talent always rises to the top in the NBA. And if people are healthy, and I'm going to assume that they're going to be healthy, and I'm going to assume that the Knicks are going to be a healthy team. I have to. You have to just assume that, because I can't predict anything. So I'm just going to judge by the talent they have on the court. It's very hard when you get into this guy might get hurt, this guy may not get hurt. I'm not going to do that. If you get hurt, I'll adjust my win total. Right now, people are healthy, and basically, when you have good players like the Knicks do, they're going to beat a lot of teams just based on skill and talent. So I'm not worried about this season. I look for pluses right now because we're still in the growth stage. The Knicks team right now is still in the growth stage. But I just felt that it was very unprofessional the way they came to play at Washington. This is the NBA, folks. You can't just show up and think you're going to... Teams like the 76ers win games. It's the NBA, folks. You can't come... And then you got to understand, this is a team with John Wall, Bradley Beal, Gartat. They're not scrubs. They're having a rough season right now. But they're not scrubs. So you can't come into these games against hungry teams, especially with New York on your chest. Brandon Jennings is absolutely right. Teams know if I do great against New York, it's going to be nationally shown and heard about. That's why there's always been teams that every time the Knicks play teams, players have their best games against New York. It's always like that. But I was really frustrated watching this game because I'm like, so many open threes. So many uncontested shots. I mean, ridiculous. I mean, guys were left wide open. I'm talking about, and I've seen this early in the year. My thing is, look, in the NBA, players will hit shots in your face. These guys practice like this. So you want to run, you want to get close enough to run people off the three-point line. But you can't have, there was multiple times where you had one player for two people and they both was behind the three-point line. Now Washington shot lights out from three, but they also had wide open shots. Come on. I mean, they were shooting threes like the Golden State Warriors. Now teams do get hot, but I'm not mad if a team got hot. I'm not mad if they were hitting open, hitting contested shots. But the Knicks were lethargic, and there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse when you have a veteran team. That's one of the things I was counting on from a team like the Knicks. They're a veteran team. I expect them to win games like veterans do. Being professional. Going on the road after a very good victory against Detroit and going on the road and picking up another victory. Because it's time to get the ball rolling in the right direction. And you expect that from a veteran starting unit. And you didn't get that. But then, in the fourth quarter, the Knicks do this little comeback. They score 47 points. Now, in the middle, let me tell you, about 8 minutes to go in the third quarter, I remember yelling at my TV screen for Hornacek to go small. I am a fan and a proponent of going small. I don't know if the Knicks need to start that way. I'm not going to go that far. I think Noah is very important to the team. And he takes the brunt of like when we're playing against bigger centers. I get all of that. I'm down for all of that. However, I think, for example, Golden State didn't start Draymond at the center. They had a depth lineup. They had a lineup for spurts at a time where they could take advantage of mismatches. And the Knicks need to do that. They have a lineup so far now. I've seen in the third quarter, I've seen the Knicks take over a game and their offense look spectacular. And then in the fourth quarter, score 47 points with that same similar offense. And the reason why it's important, when you have a player like Derrick Rose and you put Kristaps at the center, who can basically pick and pop, which leaves the whole middle open for Derrick Rose, it creates ridiculous opportunities for a player like Derrick Rose. Ridiculous. Carmelo playing a 4. See, this is one thing I'll say about Carmelo Anthony. I don't want him dribbling by the three-point line. That's bad, Carmelo. Only thing I want him doing by the three-point line is catching and shooting or catching and passing. That's it. I don't want him dribbling and taking his time by the three-point line. He's not good there. That's not him anymore. He's not good there. He does it every now and then, but I don't like it. What I like Melo is when he's at the 8 to 12 feet, 8 to 16 feet range, like when he's in the mid-range area, that defender's toast. There's like nobody in the league that can guard him in that area. That's why I like him in the 4, because it puts him in that area. It puts him in that space where he's unfucking stoppable. You don't have to do it all game. You don't have to start it that way. But when the Knicks need a push, when they need to put a game away, you need to put this lineup in. And the thing is, they get better. And the reason why I really wanted this lineup, and the reason why I knew they were going to come back in the game with that lineup, because you put smaller guys in there, yes. See, in today's NBA, you don't need to worry because these guys are not going to the hole. They're driving to the hole and kicking out. That's all they do. It's boring to me. That's how they play. So you need guys that are quick enough even if they're sluggish, if you're using 3 guards and Melo at the 4 and Kristaps at the 5, you're going to have more speed on the rotation. You're going to have guys like Brandon Jennings who can get out to the shooters, Courtney Lee who can get out to the shooters, or if it's Justin Holiday who can get out to the shooters. Derrick Rose, they can get out to the shooters. I know I named 4 guards. I'm just saying any combination of 3 out of those 4 guards. They can get out to the shooters. And this is why, and it improves your defense. That lineup literally improves, depending on the kind of team. If you're playing a team that likes to pound it inside, you leave Joakim Noah in there. You're going to need him in there along with Kristaps. But if you have a team with a stretch 4, and another reason why you needed to do it, because Otto Porter was killing Carmelo at the 3, running around picks. You don't need that. You don't need that. You need to put Melo at the 4 in those situations. Let him go up against Morris. You put Melo at the center. I know Gortat is hard to guard on defense, but Gortat will get in foul trouble trying to guard Porzingis. And it literally opens up the middle of the floor. It's today's basketball, folks. But I know how coaches are. Sometimes coaches, I'm not going to get mad at Hornacek. I think that sometimes what coaches do is that they're just like, they're slow to come to these decisions, which is important. They need to be. You can't just be, okay, let's just switch things up on the fly. No, it's gradual. And I think more and more you're going to start to see this lineup. Not as a starting lineup, not as a starting unit, but I think that at least 20 to 30 minutes a game, you need to do this. And you can still go small when you take Kristaps out the game. You can take Kristaps out and you can put Noah at the center. You can take Kristaps out and you can put Kyle O'Quinn at the center if it's good Kyle O'Quinn. But with Kristaps in there, man, that it literally makes the offense unstoppable. It opens up the whole middle of the floor. Something that the Knicks could never do when they had Robin Lopez. They couldn't do that with Robin Lopez. So the 47 points in the fourth quarter wasn't a fluke. It wasn't like people were saying, oh, they just started playing a lot harder. Yeah, that is true. But they also put a lineup in there that is literally unstoppable offensively. And my thing is, Jeff Hornacek, stop the bullshit. Use this lineup. Stop the bullshit. Use these lineups. Use it. I'm not saying use it all the time. We got Dwight Howard coming up against the Hawks. I don't want to use it too much there, because Kristaps is going to get beat up against him. I get it. But you could use it for spurts. You could try it. Because remember, Kristaps can't be guarded by these guys either. Now, I know you don't want him to take the bang, and I get it. That's why you try it for small spurts against teams that have a center like him. I get it. It's obvious that you're allowed to run what you want to run, because the Knicks are not really running triangle. I've been watching the games. I've been looking for that damn triangle. They've been doing a lot of ball movement, a lot of good things, but I have not seen that triangle. But I'll tell you this, I don't think the Knicks should abandon the triangle, only because in the moments where it's hard to score and teams, start defending the pick and roll better and better, you're going to have to go to some kind of system that allows for easy open shots. And when the triangle's executed correctly, that's what it does. Move your body, move the ball. It's excellent basketball. But I feel like if you put Kristaps at the center and Melo at the 4, it literally takes advantage of your team's best abilities. Because we know Kristaps can knock down that 3. We know Melo's a lethal catch and shoot jump shooter. You can do pick and pop all day with those guys on both sides of the post, on both sides of the elbow. Pick and pop all day. Then you got Courtney Lee on the other side. Or Derrick Rose can take it all the way to the hoop. It's like pick your poison. Justin Holiday was in there shooting threes. I'm telling you, I want to see more and more of this lineup. At one time, I didn't want Kristaps playing the center, but you know what? I stand corrected because I see the potential of the entire team. It's ridiculous. But anyway, The Knicks got Atlanta coming up. Noon. I hate those noon games because the Knicks usually don't do well in these noon games. But the Knicks need a victory. They're still in that stage of needing a victory, and they can't fall behind. They cannot fall behind. They have to stay around 500 until they can figure out what kind of team they are. And I think Hornacek is doing a great job, honestly. I think he's doing a good job. He can coach. All right, folks. So this brings us to the end of Knicks Home Court, episode number 22. You can find Knicks Home Court on iTunes under Life Culture Sports. You can find it on SoundCloud under Life Culture Sports. You can also find it on YouTube under Knicks Home Court. Or you can go to my website, Life Culture Sports /Knicks Home Court, to find all the Knicks content. You must put /Knicks Home Court. It will just take you straight to the Knicks Home Court page, because Life Culture Sports is a network, and it will become a network of podcasts eventually. It's a lot of work though, folks. Just one person right now. I'm a one-man band. But anyway, it's been real, folks. Let's get that win against Atlanta. It won't be easy. Atlanta's been playing well, but we got to dig in and get that victory. I'll speak to y'all later. Peace. Music brought to you by bensound.com.